Because I want a vintage French-inspired look for this piece, I am using my orbital sander with 60 grit sandpaper to open up large areas of exposed wood to create a heavily distressed finish. The next part is going to be stenciling on my beautiful patterns. This is a very lacy, delicate stencil, and I'm using my stencil brush to create an ombre look. And I wanted to do an ombre look because I thought it would be a really nice, delicate detail for this piece. And I'm using a dark gray called charcoal on the outside edges of the stencil. And I'm dabbing up and down with my stencil brush. You can use a stencil brush or a very dense brush. And don't get a lot of paint on your brush, just a little bit, and don't use sideways strokes, just up and down. You don't want your paint to seep under and smudge your stencil. So I'm finishing up going around the edges of the stencil, just take your time. And now I'm going to apply my lighter gray on the inner parts, and that will result in a really pretty ombre look. There are painted parts already on the furniture, so I am painting around those because I want the stencil to look like it's in the background or blended in with my paint already on the piece. And once I peel this off, I will show you how pretty that this stencil will look. I just want this stencil to look like it was a detail nestled into the finish of the piece, aging over time beautifully. So look how wonderful this looks. I just love it. Now for any excess paint, I am going to dab up and down with my paper towel just a little bit to get that off and dry it. And for my next step, I'm going to apply my stain. I basically wipe it on with a paper towel and wipe it back quickly with a clean paper towel to give a very rustic, smoky, kind of blotchy look to the finish to add to this aged aesthetic. Now, because this does create a darker look on my finish, I want to take another step to lighten things up and bring back some of the color in the paint, the blues and in the stencil. This is ceruzine wax, which I use a lot to create this cloudy, white, airy feel and add some rustic character. I just love ceruzine wax. You just rub it on with a paper towel or a rag all over and look at the difference. Look at the left to the right where I haven't applied, and it just, like magic, just makes everything richer and lighter. So for the top of this wardrobe, I am going to give it a really pretty painted, streaked look. I first stained the top and then I am adding this off-white paint, just going back and forth with my strokes, long strokes, misting my surface and my brush to get it a little moist to be able to move that paint a little. Just something really like a detail, a rustic detail. I am skipping some areas. It's not a solid finish. I am going to leave some gaps in between my lines so that it can look kind of airy and soft. Going back over here with the paint and the brush to thin out the white that's on there. So here you see where I've just skipped some of the wood parts just to give it a little more character. And I really like this easy technique for a pretty detail. I think it came out really lovely, this top, and it was very easy to do. And now for my final step, I am showing how I redid some old hardware I had that I'm going to use for this piece. I'm basically creating a textured look with two paint colors. First I applied my white, and now I'm dabbing on some of the blue I used to paint my piece, and then coming back over it with a paper towel to create more texture, to thin out the blue and really create a pretty and textured rustic look. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Now I'm going to leave you with some pictures. Thank you so much for watching.